this.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, thank you for that. If we don't speak about anything else, I've already enjoyed it.
So yes, everybody, my name is Kevin Halden. You all know me. This is Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk. And today we have an interview with a fantastic director, a director I've been keeping an eye on for some time now. Movies like The Dead 2, Never Let Go, Adventure Boys, Lockdown Hauntings, The Ledge, Dark. You've made 11 movies.
I've made 11 movies, and I have. I'm impatient, and 300 odd TV commercials. So those, I use them as an excuse for a mini movie at the same time. So yes, it's taken me around the world. I'm definitely a lucky boy. I do work hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't give myself much of a weekend off. I'm normally editing. God knows when,
But we're here today because we are talking about two movies that you have coming out at relatively the same time. We have Escape coming out September the 30th and Dark Game October the 21st. Two absolutely fantastic movies, kind of similar but also vastly different.
Yeah,
so that's really cool to see. But Howard, before we get into it, by the way, his name's Howard J. Ford, because I haven't said your name yet.
Thank you. I had one agent who did nothing for me except tell me to keep the J, and there we go. I thank you for that.
But yeah, so before we really get into it, I want to dive back a little bit further, get to know you a little bit more. It's more of an icebreaker question, and it is, what was the first movie that you saw up on the big screen, and did this inspire you to become a filmmaker?
That's a great question, Kevin, and you won't believe the answer, but it was actually Moonraker.
Oh, nice!
It was actually Moonraker, the Bond movie. Like I've made nothing like that, of course. Well, people do hang from cable cars, I believe, or whatever they do. But if I've got the right movie there, but Moonraker was in it. Yeah, I saw that as a kid, and I went to the cinema to see that 2 or 3 times. Nice. I just loved it. And that was my first real cinematic big screen experience that I somehow knew I was safe in my seat. There I was, sat down. But yeah, I was feeling all that stuff, and all this stuff, and I was feeling the excitement, and I wanted to do it. Then in horror movies, I got to mention it because I have obviously ended up doing a whole bunch of horrors. Mm-hmm. The Evil Dead. Sam Raimi's original The Evil Dead, which we saw on a VHS tape and with my brother, and that just scared the crap out of me. Really, and I was 13, so I probably shouldn't have been watching it anyway. Only just turned 13, but that had a big impact. And George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. So those, weirdly, it's kind of a weird mix. And some Sergio Leone's movies. Now I'm jumping around, but there's a sort of that's the starting point.
Yeah, well, as I say, you can't really put your genre into a box because you play around a little bit, and that shows because you've just mentioned 3 or 4 vastly different movies, vastly different genres, and it shows as to sort of how you like to do your films as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. I don't like to. It's a funny one because it's the same. It's the same with actors in a funny old way, because you think, oh well, I've seen that actor and they're doing that, so hey, I've got a film and I need someone who does that, so I'll go and ask them to be in it. They don't really want to do the same thing, want to do something different. I like to do something different. I also like to take my audiences kind of on a journey if I can. I can't always do that, but I feel like, we're normally in a room. If you're watching a movie, generally you're in a room. You're in a room now. We're in a room so much of the time. I feel like if I'm going to let someone look at that screen, let's try and take them somewhere. So, I always want to go to a nice location. It's nice to do it as well. I mean, with Escape, and here's the thing, Kevin, Escape is my 10th feature. So in the order of, it is my 10th movie. So I thought to myself, I knew it was my 10th one. I thought, I just want to do something. I just want to have a blast. And I kind of want to do something. I want to go to an island. I want to do something outrageous, something sort of provocative, something probably you're not really allowed to do or won't be allowed to do anymore. So I thought, screw it. I'm going to just do it all. Get it out and get it over and done with.
No, that's cool. That's cool. It does. Escape. We'll get into Escape in a second, but it does have a sense of old school movies that you don't really get made anymore. So I do like that. I like the fact that you've said that. But one of the other things is we keep on mentioning you've now made up to 11 movies. You've done thousands of commercials. You've worked with people, companies like Saban, Paramount, Netflix, all these different amazing places. You definitely have a knack for getting movies made. And one of the things I always come across when I'm speaking to indie directors and producers and everything is like, oh, I just need to get that first movie made, but it's hard. I need to get that second movie made, but it's even harder. What is the secret or the key to your kind of success, how you approach those early stages of getting your movie made?
Yeah, thanks. I think honestly, it's one of those things where, for me, I'm very impatient. I'm going to say, not necessarily in a bad way. I know that's not a great quality to have, and I much rather. I know I'm enjoying talking to you now, but I much rather do than talk generally. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of people, and I don't think it's not their fault or anything. They're trying to get things made. So I think they feel the process of getting it made is to have loads and loads of conversations about making it, and it's fine. I think you've got to have some conversations about it, but somehow there's something in the act of doing, just going to do it, which I know it sounds like a really weird thing, because how can you do it if you haven't been given permission to do it? Don't wait for that. No one wants to get onto a train that's not yet moving, and no one knows when that train is going to move. You know, that's going to stay like an empty train. It's not going anywhere. If it's leaving in 3 minutes, it's leaving in 3 minutes and the whistle's going, people start to jump on it. So I think you have to create momentum somehow. So I was never good at sitting back. So even when I was 13 years old, my brother was 14, nearly 15, and we started making sort of short films on Super 8. You know, we just went out, friends as actors. I was in it, he was in it. We just sort of got people together and just sort of did them. And it was the act of doing stuff. The more you do, the more you get to do. So you've just got to somehow make a start. And I think with filmmakers now, you know, indie movies, you know, people try sometimes to think, oh, I'm going to go, I want to do this big thing, and I need so-and-so $1 million or whatever. You kind of got to go, hang on a second. If this is my first movie, I don't have a track record if it is your first movie. Let's do something that I can actually get done and deliver. You've got to deliver. Because if you don't finish, if you start a movie, you either finish it or you F it up, excuse my language. You do one of the two things. That's it. When you begin, you're either going to deliver it or you're going to screw it up. So it's a dangerous place to be when you embark upon that. So you've got to deliver. I've always just, no matter what, it's like on The Dead, that nearly killed us 10 times over. I would have sooner come home in a body bag, genuinely. I would have rather come home in a bag, zipped up, completely deceased, than have come home and said to the investors, hey, well, we kind of went to Africa and we shot a bit of that movie, but sorry about that, we didn't finish it. I just can't do that.
No, I like that. That's fantastic quality to have, though, definitely. So a little bit on The Escape, because it's coming out on September the 30th on digital platforms and everything. People are going to be able to get this and watch this. I really hope people do.
I hope so too. Otherwise we're in trouble.
and apart from thinking, right, this is my 10th movie, I'm going to go a little bit nuts with this one. I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. Where did Escape spawn from? What was the initial concept, and what made you want to make this story in particular?
Yeah, another great question. Thanks for asking it. So I weirdly, I wasn't expected to talk about this, but during lockdown, when we were all locked down, I know I made the lockdown hauntings with Tony Todd. Great, that was great to go do something. When I, couldn't really do that much, there was a program on late at night. It's really obscure, but I think it's on Quest, and it was called Aussie Gold Hunters. And it's just I like that program. So I sit down, boys are going to bed. I just kind of like unwind, and I used to watch that program, and I'd think, what an idiot I am. I have to go and spend a year and a half and find an army of people to make something. These people go into the dust and they dig a hole, and sometimes they find nothing, but sometimes they find a 50 or 100 grand nugget of gold. And I know this is often a tangent because The Escape is not about this, but I looked at that program and I thought, God, it's good. And I started to come up with an idea. I thought, this idea. And I thought, I'd like to do something around gold. I thought, what if I get a bunch of young people together? It's probably got to be young people it's selling, and I had this plot where they were running out of money in some holiday destination. I thought this could be nice. And someone comes up with the idea with, let's go gold panning. And then they go and one of them finds a huge gold nugget that's worth like $500,000, I think I had down. And then they were taking this to their house, and then these bad guys come and they take it into town to get the gold thing This is not what Escape is about, by the way, but I'm getting
No.
somewhere. And so then someone comes and they try and get this thing valued, and so they've got this thing in their apartment, and so the bad guys come, and this girl got kidnapped in a truck, and then at some point it was all going down this road, and I thought, that's a bit complicated. And I remember, weirdly, I really didn't think I'd talk about this, and I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to. Because I saw something weirdly with this Andrew Tate character, right? Who's pretty big on the internet, and he was talking in a kind of disturbing manner about women being like a gem, like a jewel, an attractive woman. He was putting like a value on women. He said, I see them like a jewel, like a diamond, an attractive girl. That she's more attractive, she's worth more than the other guy. I was thinking, this is kind of horrible, right? But and then I thought, hang on a second, I'm trying to make this really complicated film. Why didn't I just have bad guys stealing attractive women? And I sort of cut out the middleman here. I thought that's just so much more simple. It's just so much more simple. And then I spoke to some female friends, and I was a bit shocked actually, because I mentioned to a few people I was sort of thinking of doing this, thinking, am I going to get away with this? Is this so, can I do this and not get into big trouble? And actually, some of my female friends, it's amazing. I don't want to get too deep on this stuff, but it's quite disturbing how many women, if we interviewed 3 ladies here, at least 2 of those ladies will have had some serious unwanted attention from a male. And I was like, this is actually a thing. This is like probably, I'm going to say 5 out of 6 when you really, if you were to go beneath those layers. So I thought, bloody hell, this has happened to a hell of a lot of people. This is a real danger. And so Escape in the end became about these horrible bad guys stealing 10 women to sell them. And then, of course, I want to make it about, it's not about that, about girls being treated bad. It's about the women rising up and kicking back and just, starting to take down these men and not taking it lying down. Do you know what I mean? So I felt like, okay, I started to think, this could be a blast. I can still go to that lovely island. I can still go and do all that stuff. But I can end up having a thing where, hopefully there's some satisfying revenge in the trafficking. Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely. And you put these girls through absolute hell in this movie, and rightly so, because we needed to reflect on the true nature of it. What kind of prep work did you do with your actresses, and how did you basically sell the movie to them to entice them into making it?
Funny, isn't it? Because you think, and thank you, it is, they do go through a horrible time, because of course I really want to wind people up. Not, because I like winding people up, because, in a story, in a film, to get some sort of satisfaction as to, without giving away exactly how it turns out, but some pretty extreme stuff in the end happens. And so I needed to sort of, to get them to that point, or get the audience to the point where you think, yeah, I actually really, really want this to happen. These horrible guys need to be taken down. Now, funnily enough, the actresses that I spoke to, and they're fantastic, of course. We've got, Sarah Alexandra Marks, Sophie Rankin, Ksenia Islamova, Tiffany Hannum Daniels. Got some great actors in this film. They were all well up for it. They were well up for it. And also they were, do you want to come to mainly, do you want to come to a desert island? And then this story was like, yeah, definitely. There was no need to sort of, push at all. Actually, they were well up for that. So the early part, and it was great fun. And in some ways, the recce, we had 2 location recce's, and I decided to go 2 of these location recce's, but to bring some actors with me. So we went out with Sophie Rankin, who was originally, who I cast in the film early on, and then her character kind of evolved, because we took some of the shots on the recce. They were actually recce shots, but some of those have made it into the film. And then we went on a location recce with Sarah, Louis, and Ksenia, and co-producer Tamara all over. And then we shot a bunch of things, like the beach scene, for example. That was actually shot during the recce. Wasn't shot on the main shoot. And so I actually, in the end, I decided, okay, well, that gave me a flavor of the location. We scouted locations and took test shots. Occasionally we redid the whole thing. Occasionally we used something from the recce. But that was a great process to find. It was kind of like an adventure because people were really enthused as well, so I could kind of test. I could test ideas. I remember I said, I don't want to give away the film, but something extreme has to happen to one of these guys. And I thought, I want to know if this is the sort of thing that our girls are, young lady's going to be okay with this. And so I mentioned what I thought was going to happen at the end of the movie. Like, oh, yes, absolutely. We want to do that. Can I be the one to do that? Or can I be the one to stab there or cut this or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I think that could be your character. So it's great. But, they were so enthusiastic and they were just fantastic to work with. Louis James also, he ends, I don't want to give too much away, but they end up going through hell, a lot of these people. But I believe they enjoyed it.
And it's an absolutely fast-paced thriller, and that's kind of sets the tone right from the start, from your opening scenes. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the cinematography, because the way this film's shot and the way you kind of like run and gun with the girls as they're running away, and the fight sequences or the battle sequences, you kind of feel like it's all being done in camera because you're zooming in, zooming out, and punching. I loved all that. How did all that work with Trevelyan Scapaldi? But is it kind of like a natural shorthand? Because you guys did Adventure Boys together as well.
That's right. We definitely have a thing going that, I think the great thing about Trevelyan is I love cinematographers and they're brilliant, but some cinematographers obviously want to take a lot of time and sort of kind of go, it's, for their showreel. Do you know what I mean? They have they're going to have a DOP showreel, so the lighting's got to be absolutely perfect. Whereas our way of working together is that there is a sort of shorthand. How good can you make it in 3 minutes? Because we have 3 minutes till I want to shoot this shot. And then often I'm running around with the gimbal. So I'm glad you liked it. I know I wanted a lot of energy in Escape. Mm-hmm. I realized, I think this is a fantastic movie, almost like if someone's got ADHD, there's something happening every 3 seconds. I think it's a good movie for them. I felt like when I was editing the film, I thought, have I gone a bit mad here? I know it was my 10th movie and I aimed to have a blast and I'm running around, we're running around like a lunatic with the camera. I suddenly thought, am I doing this too much? I wanted it to have a lot of energy. But I'm pleased I've done it. And I feel like it is quite cutty and things like that. And there's a lot going on. And when the girls are in the underground, the camera then goes out and tells a story and you suddenly see this amazing location, found this incredible cabin in the mountains, which I thought that location was amazing. I'd never seen a place like that. That was found on a Google search. So I think it is like a shorthand we have, and it's a way of working quickly together. That scene in the underground, we had to shoot so many pages in a short space of time because sometimes with an indie movie you've got to move fast, and the only way to get through it is working like that. So very grateful for Trevelyan.
I think for a movie like Dark Game, your next movie that's coming out, that maybe wouldn't have worked, but for a movie like Escape, absolutely, because it needs to be frenetic, it needs to be chaotic, and I totally bought into all of that, and it made some of the punches that the girls take, because my God, some of the girls take some punches.
They do. I still have the props lying around here. I might do a competition to win some of these props. Actually, we should talk about that. But
that's pretty awesome. So let's jump on to Dark Game, because I think you have an absolutely fantastic knack for casting. Obviously, the likes of Angela Dixon, Brittany Ashworth, Sarah Alexandra Marks, all fantastic. And then in Dark Game, you've got Ed Westwick. That's a pretty big name to be getting in this movie. But also, you have the absolute scene stealer of Andrew P. Stephen, which I do want to talk about the presenter a little bit in a second.
Stephen, and Ed was absolutely brilliant, and Ed had worked with Tom George, the producer of Dark Game, and done a great job developing it. They'd done a movie already together, so I first met Ed on a call like this, on a Zoom call type thing. And I loved working with him. He's a really, really great energy. He's always ready to go. I'm a very energetic person, but I could tell with Ed, he's got he's got this fire in him, and he's ready to go, and he has to hold that and then unleash. So yeah, really enjoyable. And Andrew was an amazing find. I'm glad you bring him up.
How do you cast someone like Andrew P. Stephen, write a character like the presenter, and then try to make me not love him? Like, how is that even possible for you to do?
It's funny because I'm really glad this has come up, because I love Andrew, and actually Tom and I spoke about this because to be honest, we didn't. A lot of the actors I've worked with, a lot of them I know. Dark Game was a little different. We were often going through a casting director, Jane, who was great, and she found Andrew, and so we were getting self-tapes. So of course nowadays a lot of casting, self-tapes. I mean, I feel sorry for actors because they're just having to bang out self-tapes all the time. It's actually a lot of work for them, and I'm, I only want to kind of ask for those things when you are seriously considering people for the role. But Andrew came through on a self-tape, and we'd been looking for this presenter because it's a very key character, and again, a love-hate relationship with the character. He's horrendous and horrific, and he's murdering people live on the internet. So how can we be intrigued by a character like that? But he's got a certain charisma. He's got he holds center stage, and Andrew is a fantastic trained theatre actor. So he does hold fort and tread the boards. And I don't want to spoil the movie. He's a wonderful man. I don't hate him any less on screen because he's going to do some pretty damn nasty things. But I loved working with Andrew, and he did a really, really super job. I think there's something. Here's the thing, Kevin. Those kind of characters, and Ed does an amazing job. Ed is absolutely central to the film, and totally different from his Chuck Bass in Gossip Girl. Although I've been getting into watching that since making the movie, but he's great, and absolutely, he's the center of the movie, and he's trying to bring down, this presenter who's causing people to play games of death live on the internet. But there's something about characters. I think what it might be, I believe, these characters who kind of, I don't say play God, I've said it now, but they have total power and total control, and they're doing these horrendous things, and they don't seem pressured by the authorities, coming after them and things like that. And they're able to make life and death decisions. I'm not saying that that's what we want. We don't. But I think, hopefully most of us don't. But I do think most of us in life, sometimes we can be frustrated if we have a lack of control over something. We might have a lack of control over ourselves even, or our habits, or our flaws and our faults, because we all have them, right? Or it might just be that we're on hold on a phone call to your bank, and you're extremely frustrated because they've put me onto the third person and I'm boiling now, and so I think these characters who could just command this and okay, you will die next, and I don't know. There's a little piece of that extra bit of power. I think we would like to just have a little bit more. So we can't help admire those types of people.
And I don't want to take the tone down too much. But when it came to Dark Game, it is very much a thing that is out there on the dark net. And there's been a few films recently, like Red Rooms, came around, sort of dealt a little bit like that. Did you do a bunch of research for that kind of thing, or was it just something you were aware of and thought, I'll just write around that?
Well, Tom and I have to say, because with Tom, this project, Dark Game, came to me via Tom George, who'd already done a great job developing it, and had been involved with a couple of great writers already on it. So I actually didn't write that script. I've directed the movie because it's funny, because I'd say sort of 65-70% of my films, I also wrote the screenplay. I didn't write the screenplay to Dark Game. A couple of very good writers, and I'm so sorry, their names are slipping my mind now, which is awful, isn't it? Because Tom got engaged with them, and he came to me with an already developed script. So we were aware. I'm not aware of the films you just mentioned, but we were, of course, aware of things like Saw and Seven. I'm not trying to say our film is Saw and Seven. We were aware that there are films out there already, but and this stuff must be on the dark web. But I felt like when I first read the Dark Game, actually the first 2 pages, I thought, there's no way I'm going to do this film. The girl tied to a chair, and okay, she's gonna have, don't want to give the plot away, but there's a chainsaw coming, right? And there's nothing we can do about it. And I thought this is going to be one of those films, I don't know, whether it's just like, I don't know, torturing people or whatever. And I thought, I'm not going to do this. I really like Tom. How am I going to tell Tom? He's a nice guy. I was thinking, how am I going to tell him I'm not going to do this film? But then I got going with it, and I thought, okay, there's something different in this. I love the detective story in it.
Yeah.
I loved, Ed's flawed, his character, who is a flawed person in real life because of something that's happened to him that's horrible from his past. And I really appreciated all the characters in it. And I thought it was really well written. And so we were both aware that there were films that have gone down a road, but I felt this went down a slightly different path as well. And I also felt it had its own, it stood up on its own, and it was such a great statement about the internet and where it's going, where it's going. And I thought, blimey, we're all sort of, falling into this web of the world. And, even the kids now, and the stuff they see, it's only a few swipes on some of these huge platforms to something dark. You can start with something very light, and they like a bit of that, they look at that, and then it gets to something dark. So I feel like we're only a few steps away from that kind of danger. Hopefully we're quite a few steps away from someone like the presenter doing what he's doing, but I don't know.
Well, I think Stephen Mulhern's quite close to that.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'm going to start wrapping up in a moment. I've got a couple last questions, and the first one is obviously everybody escape September the 30th, Dark Game October the 21st. Please do check them out. You're going to absolutely love these. You also have another movie slated for 2025, working with my boy Joseph Milsom.
Hey,
the trailer for River of Blood.
River of Blood, yeah,
it looks awesome.
Thank you. I have one of the bone axes right here.
Nice.
There we go, ready to go. But yes, River of Blood. So that's shot in Thailand, and yes, Joseph Milson, who's always fantastic. Joseph Milson is a superb actor, and we went out to Thailand
as well.
Sarah,
she's
Sarah
back
Alexandra
as well.
Marks, Louis James. We've got Ella Starbuck, who's in Escape.
Nice.
We've got David Wayman, who's in Lead. They're and obviously a local cast as well. That is basically River of Blood. I believe it's being released early next year. I haven't got a release date for that yet, but excited about that. And that was a great journey across Thailand. We just really went to some stunning places, and the whole team did an amazing job putting that together. We made that with Reinvent Studios, lovely people, and excited about that. That's a movie about kayaking and cannibals. I think kayaking and cannibals, it's about time they mixed.
I feel like they do go hand in hand. We've just not seen it yet.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see it now. So I'm excited about that too, and really grateful for anyone. Here's the thing: as indie filmmakers, we've got AI coming, we've got all this coming. These are all films that are shot in real locations. Escape, there's no green screen at all. There's not one green screen shot. We have gone to islands. We have gone to the desert with actors. You have to get there before you get one shot. So I hope, same with, obviously River of Blood is out in Thailand. I hope it means the world if people can come and support indie movies by watching them legitimately. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to make them anymore. And trust me, one day, if that gets squeezed, it's all going to be AI, and that would be a sad day. So I hope we can keep doing it, but we can only keep doing it with your support, Kevin, and anyone who watches the film.
And you have the support of Nerdly. You always will. I've loved your movies in the past. I loved these two movies that we're talking about today. And like I say, I watched the trailer for River of Blood, and I was like, damn, that looks awesome. Just looks nuts. And I can't wait to see that as well. I have one last question before we go, and it's kind of circling back to our first question, and that is, what was the last movie that you saw on the big screen, and how has your viewing of a movie at the cinema changed since becoming a director yourself?
Yeah, it's another great question. I'm going to do that in reverse order because since becoming a director myself, I was talking to my brother about this. I met up with my brother very recently. He's in France, having a chat about future things, and we were chatting about this, saying that it's frustrating because actually, as a filmmaker, I can only half enjoy the movie now. But it's very, very strange. I feel like my brain is divided into two parts. One part is just going, yeah, what's happening there? I hope that doesn't happen. Don't go through that door. Oh, that's exciting. Don't get killed, whatever. And the other is going, yes, they've used a 24mm lens, and they've got that on the dolly. They've underexposed a bit. They've overexposed a bit. So every now and then, and I'm trying to get back to this part of the brain that's just enjoying the movie, because I don't want to analyze the movie. So here's the thing: it does take a fair bit to really get me into that zone. And now, the last thing I saw at the cinema, will you believe, and it's because it came back out again, and I didn't catch it first time round, and I absolutely loved this movie, was Interstellar. I saw it. I went with my boys to see Interstellar, and I absolutely loved that movie. I was just so impressed. Obviously Nolan's a great filmmaker. I love a lot of his films, not all of them. But actually, that one, I just thought, okay, that's a movie. That's amazing. That's a journey. And actually saw it at my local UGC cinema. They had, and they've had the sound redone. It's a modern cinema, and it has such fantastic sound. It's just incredible. You can hear every little bit of grain under the feet. Obviously it's all Foley and all that sort of stuff. And then the big stuff comes. I mean, just that film, I was just blown away. Blown away. Emotive. And it's such a treasure to have that. And I hope we don't lose stuff on the big screen, because I started doing this, to make films for the big screen. It is so much better shared with an audience, and the journey that you have there. There's something about that. It's a shared experience. There's an energy in the air. I hope we get to do that forever. It's tough though. You've got to keep buying cinema tickets and keep watching movies, otherwise it won't happen.
And absolutely, I completely wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment. It's cinema is it feels like it's on its way, and I really hope that's not the case, because I miss the days of the video shops.
And that was amazing, wasn't it? Going down to that was magical. To think our kids are not going to have that.
I know.
Roll through this endless amount of I don't know what,
So Howard, thank you so much for doing this. I can't wait for these two movies to drop and for everybody to check them out. We'll try and push them out as much as we can as well. We're a small voice, but we're vocal.
It means the world, Kevin. I've really enjoyed chatting to you, and it's really great to finally have a good chat with you. I've really enjoyed it, and thank you to anyone who watches. Escape's a blast. I mean, come on, go on holiday, go to a desert island, get kidnapped, get revenge. What more do you want?
What's not to love? But before we blast out of this, please do me a favor, let people know where they can find you, where they can find your projects, any websites, any social media, anything like that. Just and last of all, why they should watch these two movies.
Yes, well, Googleable. Howard J. Ford. My site is Latitude Films. I don't do that much with it. Latitude-films.co.uk. There's trailers and things on there. We put a bit of news up about what's going on, and then of course all the social media of the actors: Sarah Alexandra Marks, Sophie Rankin, Louis James, Sean Cronin, who is our fabulous bad guy. He did a super job. So those are people should look up on social media. We're going to be putting clips out and little mini trailers and things. And I think to go on a journey like Escape, we're not going to be allowed to make movies like that. Pretty soon. I think we won't be able to do it. I think the door's already closing for that type of thing. I just nipped in time. So it is a bit outrageous in places. There's some things happen that are outrageous. So see it while you can. It's not Shakespeare. We're not trying to change the world. There's bad guys with eye patches and scars, and it's a blast. It's larger than life. So go and have fun. Leave the intellectual side behind and just go on a bit of a journey. And Dark Game, hey, there's a bit more intellect going on there. I'm going to say it's a bit more cerebral, and that's a dark one. But I really believe in Dark Game. I'm really excited about it. The whole cast and crew did an amazing job on both movies. So please come and support us. We went out there and made these films. We've done our best for you. Thank you for checking them out.
Honestly, Howard, this has been absolutely fantastic. I've really enjoyed doing this, and I can't wait for these 2 movies to come out and for everybody to clap eyes on them, which I'm sure they will.
Bless you. Thank you, Kevin. Really enjoyed it too. So great to talk to you, and thanks to everyone who's listening to us.